Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the FE Hit. It's been a couple of weeks since our last episode, but I'm delighted today to be able to welcome my colleague from the Access UCC team, Mr. Cian Power. Cian, welcome to the FE Hit.
Hi, James. How are you keeping? Absolutely delighted to be here.
Excellent. No, I'm good, thanks, and it's great to have you as well. I suppose today you're a colleague of mine, and I want to explore a little bit about what your role is within the team. So your title is the Budgetary Advisor. Am I correct?
That's it, Student Budgetary Advisor in UCC. So my role kind of sits within the Access department here in UCC, but also I work with all 22,000 students here on campus. So be it from financial matters, things around applying for grants or bursaries, or even just advising you on what you may be entitled to. That's my role in the college. Been here for a good few years now, and getting out of the pandemic and looking forward to seeing some new students come next year.
Excellent. And I know for a fact, like there's a world of funds, bursaries, grants and things that are available to students and they should be aware of when they start in third level, when they start in UCC. But like a lot of our students in CSN, in St. John's and College of Com at the moment, they're in the process of applying for their CAO, making their decisions about courses. But some of the thought process they're probably going through at the moment is around like the practicalities of going to college next year, and like obviously whether they can afford it, and what sort of things should they be taking into account as they do their forward planning?
Yeah, so what I've always seen, or even when I was going to college, is just that feeling of how am I going to afford it. It kind of is, sometimes we don't think about it until we actually step foot on our campus, or we're in the lecture hall, or we're just at the start of our studies. So it's really good that like we're having this discussion now to have these kind of these thoughts, trying to make some sort of plan, be it rough or finite, but knowing what you're entitled to. And that's what really our service is here to help and provide. And for, say, students from the FE hoping to do their CAO, there's things from the decisions that they're doing from their CAO that may help or impact them in their financials coming into college. And that's things like indicating that they're here eligible, that things like financial bursaries that are attached to these certain access schemes, or even if they're coming into a mature route or the QQI route, that there is ample supports there for those cohorts of students. So it's important, to indicate these things in your CAO, or if you're going to the mature entry route or any route, is that you want to apply. If you don't apply on entry, you won't be considered for things after, because it's basically all on entry. So things around here, we tell you to apply for that, getting in on reduced points, things around, extra support, personalized orientation, one-to-one supports with, say, I know obviously James here, but also your support officers who can help with extra bursaries and financial supports as well. So those things, but also what I'd be saying is start looking at what's out there for you, so say things around social welfare entitlements, be it SUSI, be it the 1916 bursary, be it the student assistance fund, be it the laptop loan schemes, or even things around scholarships, because a lot of scholarships have closed off at the moment, but many scholarships may be reopening for when you're going into second year. So looking at those opportunities that just because you may be late to the game or you haven't thought about it doesn't mean that you can't start doing it now.
Excellent. Yeah, you mentioned an awful lot of things there, and like a lot of our students might be looking at the moment at HERE applications, but not all students will get their eligibility for HERE. If they're not HERE eligible, pretty much everything else that you mentioned there is also something they should look into, particularly the Student Assistance Fund. Could you just tell us what that is?
Yeah, so the Student Assistance Fund is a supplementary bursary or grant, not similar to SUSI, but it can complement it. most colleges have it, be it HEAs, be it say if you're going to MTU or Cork, in UCC or elsewhere, there's usually a student assistance fund in place. It may be called something else, but there is financial support. It's a once-off bursary, and you can apply for it every single year. So it can range in monetary levels. So, but it's, if you are eligible for SUSI or financial supports like that, you're more than likely going to be eligible for this kind of thing. So you should apply for it, and applications usually open at the start of term. So you usually get, so one thing I always say is check your emails. So because all this information has been sent to you from access offices the moment you are registered.
Yeah, check your emails. That's a hashtag I use as well. So it's sage advice as well. So just one quick question. Is it possible, or is it something that varies every year, to put an actual monetary figure on, like say, a maximum student assistance fund payout?
Yeah, so like a max, what we see is like, look, if you're going up somewhere else up in the country, they may have a different figure, but you're looking at max around up to €1,000, you know, so like that's a once-off payment, and that's a good amount coming up to Christmas or just afterwards when you're having your application sent in. And it's tax-free. It doesn't affect social welfare statements. You don't have to declare it, and it's a nice bit of cash.
It is.
And even when I was in college, I got it for 3 years, you know, when I was in college, and it helped me loads with my rent, transport, and food. So it does really help. Yeah,
the reality is, like you said, you've got to live, you've got to eat, and you've got to get by. And I suppose the monetary thing is interesting. When the next question I have is just around about an opinion really on student life, and a lot of students have part-time jobs and have to work to supplement their study time, and €1,000 worth of assistance is a lot of working hours. Like, so when you're trying to devote time to studying and also need the reality of funding yourself, like that sort of assistance is crucial. So
absolutely, because like what I would say is that, you know, the life of a student has ultimately changed in the last 20 years. Obviously, we're all doing full-time courses now, or obviously there's some part-time and online ones, but the majority are full-time. But that may not indicate you as a full-time student. You might be doing a part-time job. You might be raising a family. You might be caring for an elderly or a family member, or you could just be, you know, working part-time and just going in between classes. Like, so it's, the world out there is really different to what it was, and social media, internet access, and even, you know, working from home or learning from home has really allowed us to get the most out of our time. So it's really important that the time that you are spending is time that is going to help you develop into the person that you want to be. We all put things down in our CAO to indicate what we want to be, or what we want to achieve or to excel in. You don't put jobs down on your CAO. So what I would always say is, you know, it might be a full-time course. You might be pushed into doing part-time work, but always remember it's a full-time course and that you should be concentrating on that, because in the end of the day, you know, it will reap the benefits. The dividends you get from the degree is so much more, you know, personally, but also professionally. And that SAF, or those extra financial funds, really allow you to put your mind on the important things rather than, can I make that 5 o'clock shift? And is that after a lecture or during a lecture, or just juggling too much?
Yeah. No, that's it. It's all about the balance there. And yeah, so look, we've a whole palette of supports that have been mentioned there. We're going to put a few links underneath the podcast to let people follow up on those if they want. And we're going to do an event later in the year when people are approaching the end of their further ed courses. We'll have a Q&A session where people can pop back and find out a little bit more about their own circumstances and apply them to the funds and things that are out there. So Cian, just to wrap up today, you're not getting away without the 3 quick fire questions I get from us for all the guests so far. So I'm going to ask you to find out a bit more about Cian and his favorite. So your favorite movie, Cian, what's your favorite?
I knew this kind of question was coming up, and it's either the Lord of the Rings or the Star Wars, but then see they're all kind of trilogies and sagas. So I can't really pinpoint one, but if we're going to talk about one film, it would probably be that's a tough one now.
Well, you've got 9 hours worth of Lord of the Rings there.
Yeah.
Add the Hobbit in as well, and about 10 Star Wars movies. So yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you now, Man on the Moon. Do you ever watch Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
So I love that film. So I would say Man on the Moon.
And the REM song that is associated as well with that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's great. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. What about your favorite band? Maybe this is an easy one.
Favorite band
or favorite musician, let's say. So.
Favorite musician would probably be Justin Vernon from Bon Iver. So I've seen them about three times. Couldn't see him. I bought tickets right before the COVID pandemic, and it's been rescheduled 4 times. So hopefully get to see them
eventually
in October. They'll come, and so yeah, Bon Iver.
Excellent, super. And then the last question for you: best bit of advice you've ever been given?
Stand your ground. That was the best bit of advice that I ever got. Was called standing your ground, and it was something. It was a personal thing, but it's basically about entitlements and what you're entitled to. If you think you're entitled, stand your ground, and don't budge. If you believe in something, stand it. Believe in it. So stand your ground.
Super. That's great. Good stuff. Cian, thanks a million for your time today. It's been great to have the chat.
You're very welcome.
We'll see you again in some other format for a Q&A, but today there's
hopefully in person.
Yeah, maybe that'd be great. So so look, thanks everyone for tuning in and listening, whether you're listening on Podbean on the audio or you're tuning into the YouTube clips. It's good to be back. So just a reminder, you can check in with me throughout the week. I'm in all of the colleges Monday to Friday, and you can always email me for an online appointment. So in the meantime, stay safe, check your emails, and I will see you next time.